small town, right? Where'd y'all go?
There isn't.
No, we go in Little Rock, so we drive there. It's about an hour.
It's about an hour. Yes.
Yeah,
go.
we've been going there. And like my family lives in Little Rock, so we can stay with them sometimes, or just make a day of it. And
that's great. That is nice.
Love it.
Go to church, have a family dinner afterwards. That is lovely. Well, and I think people don't realize that there really are a lot of Orthodox churches now in the South. Maybe not in a tiny town, but Little Rock has churches. There are also a couple of churches in Memphis. They're all over the place, and they're awesome. There's some really good ones, actually. Some of my favorite Orthodox priests actually are around the South. It's really, it's pretty neat. When you went to the parish where you are, was everything in English, or what was it like when you came in terms of like Orthodox culture ethnically?
Yeah, so shout out to Father Nicholas Verdaris. We go to a church called the Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church in Little Rock. And I would say it's 9% English at this. We talked to a lot of the older parishioners, and they gave us sort of a rundown of how it changed over time. But it's gone from 100% Greek when they were kids to now it's mostly English. There are a few hymns and a few prayers that are in Greek, and they say the Lord's Prayer in English and in Greek. But
now, did y'all find that off-putting when there's a little bit of a foreign language in it, or did you kind of like it? I find that people come down on both sides.
Yeah,
you liked it.
We were like pretty enthusiastic.
We were very excited.
Whoa, where has this been our whole lives?
Exactly.
From the first time we went. So I think they could be speaking any language and we would have been into it. But
isn't that beautiful? That's wonderful.
Had no problem understanding, and there's of course the liturgy books that we can read along. I mean, I'm still reading along with it.
Oh,
pretty regularly.
Yes, me too.
It hasn't even really been a full year since we started attending. So
yeah, I was going to ask. So how long did it take?
A lot.
It seems like when you got there, though, you kind of knew right away that this was a community you wanted to be a part of.
Oh, we knew, definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
It is mostly like, will they like us?
Yeah.
Will they let us in, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I'm sure this is probably true for most Orthodox parishes, but like a lot of the people have been going there their whole lives. They're cradle Orthodox. So the first time we went, it was not at all like exclusionary, or if that's the word. It wasn't at all like, intimidating, or no one was mean to us, but it was very different vibe in every way than from what we were used to. So it was like we just were kind of like, can we fit in, and like let's not say anything to weird anyone out. Let's not go too evangelical or anyone. So, but praise God, everyone was so nice, and we made friends pretty quickly there. And
we did. And when we went to our first coffee hour that first time, I looked at Patrick and I said, I think everyone from church is at the coffee hour. That was very exciting for me to see everybody. I was like, wow, everyone came to the coffee hour. Yeah. I can believe it.
Yeah, because, we've attended mega churches.
And they leave. They're ready for lunch. They're the Baptist church. They are bolting. But I just thought, wow, I can tell this is a very close group of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that beautiful? I think that's really a neat, whenever I'm talking to someone who's recently come into the faith and hearing what your impressions of the parish were, it's always interesting to me just to think about like, okay, those of us who are already in the faith and we're here in the parishes, what's the right way to behave when someone comes in? What's welcoming to people? I love that you noticed that and that you felt like, wow, a parish where everyone wants to have a cup of coffee together afterwards, that sounds like a community that would be worth joining, right? Like that's, what a great point. Yeah. I don't know if everybody thinks about that, but that is lovely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it did not take y'all too long to get integrated into the community.
Didn't, and we kind of lucked out because I think 2 or 3 weeks after our first liturgy, they had a biannual newcomers class. I think it was Exploring Orthodoxy with Father Barnabas.
Yes.
Yes. Father Barnabas Powell's program. Oh, that's really a good one. He's so great, isn't he? He is so straightforward and clear and wonderful. He is fantastic.
Yeah, and, he was speaking our language too, because he's a former Pentecostal preacher from
the
Georgia.
South. Yes.
It was very familiar to us, the cadence, and he's one of us.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He really is. He is wonderful. Oh, that's really neat. And for anyone listening who is thinking about outreach programs at your churches or education programs in your parishes, Father Barnabas has a whole, is it like, it's Fullness of the Faith, but it's like Journey into the Faith, something like that.
Yeah.
It is lovely.
I think that's the one. Journey.
You can find that on the Ancient Faith site. It's like a series of videos, right? And books. And it just, he's awesome. And he really does. He speaks a Protestant language and translates Orthodoxy into it so well. That was one of my biggest problems coming in, is I felt like my Protestant vocabulary and an Orthodox priest vocabulary were such a mismatch. We couldn't communicate, but Father Barnabas can do it. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that is
we
beautiful.
Really enjoyed that.
All right. So I have one more question for you before we go. We're coming up to the end of the hour. I'm curious, how is life now in Arkansas on a farm? You've lived in LA, you've lived in New York, you guys have been all over the place. You're living in a small town in Arkansas. How's it going?
We are loving it.
Yeah.
I was telling Patrick, since I'm from, Brinkley, you can't really appreciate where you're from or where you grew up until you go and you live New York and Seattle and all the places that we lived in. And then you come back and you realize, wow, what a treasure. Yeah. What a treasure this is. We're actually living in my grandmother's house, which she passed away a little over 10 years ago. But my aunt owns it now, and it is where my aunt and dad grew up. But we're living in the house that he grew up in. So it's really special. And it's just a quick walk to my parents' house, and we've got the fields all around us, and we have a lot of land for Elizabeth to run around and play.
Yeah.
And Patrick started a garden, and it's just been so peaceful and
it's very
wonderful.
Idyllic, really. And it's kind of like everything in life the last couple of years. It's not really anything we foresaw or planned.
No.
It's just one thing led to another, and we're just going with the flow. And it probably wouldn't have been what we would have written down on paper, but it's been so much better than we could have anticipated.
That is absolutely beautiful. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for being on this program. It has been really a delight to talk to you. And I wish you the best. In a few years, you'll have to come back and tell us how you're doing.
Yes, we would love to.
Thank you so much.
That would be great.
Easy to talk to.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you guys are a blast. Thank you so much. And thank you to our audience for coming and listening in tonight and getting to know another Everyday Orthodox person or two. We'll see you next week with someone new.